For centuries, the legend of Bigfoot has captivated imaginations and the dreams of countless adventurers. Bigfoot has remained an elusive enigma, defying definitive proof despite numerous sightings and stolen glimpses. The quest to uncover the truth about this mysterious being has persisted throughout generations, with researchers and enthusiasts venturing into the wild, armed with little more than hope and rudimentary equipment. But now, as we stand on the brink of unprecedented technological advancements, the elusive Bigfoot may finally be within our grasp. The advent of cutting edge technologies has revolutionized the way we explore and understand the world. High resolution drones equipped with thermal imaging cameras can now sweep vast expanses of wilderness, capturing detailed footage even in the dead of night. DNA analysis has evolved to the point where minute samples, hair, skin cells, and even droppings can be meticulously examined for traces of unknown primates. Artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms are being employed to analyze audio recordings and identify potential Bigfoot vocalizations amidst the cacophony of calls of the forest. Moreover, the rise of citizen science platforms has empowered thousands of amateur sleuths to contribute to the research, sharing their findings, collaborating in real time. Mobile apps allow enthusiasts to log sightings, upload evidence, and coordinate expeditions, creating a vast, interconnected network of Bigfoot hunters. As this collective effort grows, so too does the possibility that we may finally unravel one of the greatest mysteries of our time. So, as we delve deeper into the digital age, the convergence of these advanced tools bring us closer than ever to uncovering the truth about Bigfoot. Could this be an era where myth is revealed to be reality? The answer, it seems, is just beyond the tree line, waiting to be discovered. And leading us on that quest tonight is Logan Cheso, a Bigfoot researcher here to discuss his Bigfoot Live Stream Project, something he believes no one has attempted in this type of research before and offers unlimited potential in so many ways. That's next, right here on the home for the best in paranormal programming. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is my Paranormal 60.
I'm not gonna stand here and listen to this baloney. You won't know. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me. Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
Good evening, my darklings, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal 60. Joining me now, Logan Cheso. Logan, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Big fan, Dave.
Now, you've been working with Todd Standing in British Columbia on Bigfoot research. How long have you been interested in this?
I'd say I've been interested in Bigfoot for probably over 10 years. But as far as going out with Todd, I've been doing that since I want to say it was 2021 was the first time.
What spurred on your interest and desire to find out more about Bigfoot?
Um, so it's kind of a throwback to you a little bit since you were the coast to coast kind of a guy. But my dad always listened to Coast to Coast as a kid, so I've been listening to Coast to Coast for the last 20 years, and I kind of just started all of it to be fair. And then that kind of grew. Again, not going back to Coast, but Todd came on the program, and I think he was talking to I want to say it was George Knapp, and he was talking about some experiences he had, um, and at the end of his talk, he's like, if you don't believe me, I'll show you, right? And like he kind of calls out that, and I was like, I never heard anyone do that before, like,
Right.
so I checked out his documentary, and I was, I think healthy skeptical at first. I tried to dig into it for a few months, trying to find the holes. I couldn't find any obvious holes. I know that's a matter of opinion to people, right? So
Mhm.
to me, I couldn't find holes. So I got in touch with him and finally was able to go out with him about 6 months later. I think the first time I went out with him was 2021 September. And I was really just trying to see what it was all about, seeing if I could have an experience, seeing what was going on. Like I wanted to know, that was kind of my first real outing in the British Columbia middle of nowhere, right? So it was a fun experience for me just getting out there. But I had a lot of in the last 3-4 years, I've had a lot of stuff and happen to me
Okay.
out there. So that's really kind of what drives my development in what I've done is I know from my experience that Bigfoot's real, and I want everyone to like kind of have that knowledge base and experience, and I want to grow the collaboration. So it's been a journey.
That's fantastic. Now, I know for UFOs, UAPs, there's MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. BFRO is certainly one of the biggest names out there when it comes to Bigfoot field research. But is there a collaborative effort, not just like BFRO? Is there like a MUFON that has more of a collaborative feel to it? That is a place to kind of work with people that have had sightings and interests and are willing to come forward and share details and data.
I feel like there probably are a lot of independent researchers and groups that do that. It's just they're not really connected, and they're almost, it's almost like their own religion, right?
Right.
Their own subsets of Catholicism and Baptist, and they all have their own viewpoints, so they all, necessarily don't always get along. So I'm not in that field of perspective. I'm in the perspective of proving it. So I just look at the evidence and try to go from there. I'm open to people's opinions and collaboration. So I'm all about that. So I don't put anyone down for their perspective. I'm just trying to be able to build something that will give us that stepstone to the discovery, right? So
Perfect. Perfect. Well, let me ask you about going out with Todd Standing then. What and how many times did you have to go out with him into the field before something occurred that really piqued your curiosity as something out of the ordinary?
so the first time I went out there was probably, I want to say, 3 or 4 different types of experiences I had. So I really piqued my curiosity just because, you kind of have to measure the man a bit, right? So
Mhm.
it's a healthy skepticism. Like you got to go out there and you don't know what to expect, right? So I was trying to get a sense of who Todd was to begin with. Like, is he capable of hoaxing things, right? Like,
Right.
for my own research, I couldn't quite pinpoint that, but when I went out there with him and saw his methodology and talked to him, because I was out there with him the first time for about 7 days. I got to know the guy, and I got to know, how he works, how he talks, his research area, and Todd is a brilliant tracker, and like he's very well educated in the woods. He's got a lot of skill sets to him, but being able to hoax Bigfoot, in my opinion, isn't one of them.
Mhm. Okay.
There's a lot of conjecture out there saying that somehow he built some kind of robot Muppet, and um, just seeing like organizational skills and what it would take to do that.
Right.
And um, like he's a documentarian, but he's not a robotics engineer. He's not a Muppet guy. He's not a special effects guy. So just getting to know him from that aspect,
Sure.
my conclusion was that it's not possible. And I
Well,
met his.
what were the type of experiences that you were having when you went out with him?
So the first, I'd say like going out there with him, like the first, I'd say just evidence was seeing all the tree breaks and the tracks and the footprints around his base camp. He's really into like trying to teach about the habitat out there and what grows and the ecology and the bears and the wolves, and he's a real big nature guy, so he kind of goes over everything. But I saw a whole lot of like trace evidence to begin with, but like the very first experience I really had out there was sitting by the campfire. um and I have this in notes, and I can't remember if it was the second night or the third night when I was out there. It was 9:30, and we started hearing It almost sounded like a howlish owl sound, like a whistle.
Okay.
So it was coming probably, and we went and Todd's really good about trying to find trace evidence after he hears sounds. So we heard this whistle, and it was really odd. So we just, his perspective is, don't react, don't go quiet, just keep going. Like if they want to come in and see you, that's what they're here for, right? So they're interested in you. You're sitting around base camp. So we keep talking and we hear that whistle, and then I'd say about 5 to 10 minutes later, right behind me. And you have to imagine this is like remote. All you can see is fire. You're in the middle of the Radium Mountains. There's nothing out there. So
What do
within
you mean
10
all
feet,
you can see is fire?
like it's darkness all around you, right? There's nothing.
Okay. All right.
There's a camp. There's no lights. So anything out of the fire glow is pitch black, right?
Right. Okay.
So behind me, there's this weird. I don't, it's really hard to describe. But if I was gonna make it, it was like a weird chirping kind of a noise, right? It's probably about 10 feet right behind me at the campfire, and it sounded. I've never heard it before. It's dark outside. There's not birds flying around. Like I've been out there for a good number of days now, and at night the birds don't chirp, right? So it's like this weird, like chip 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 chip, like kind of like right behind, and I didn't know what to do besides just kind of sit there and listen to it. And Todd was like, "Yeah, that's I think I've heard something similar to that before, and to me it sounds like juvenile." So again, I don't know what it was, but it definitely wasn't a bird in my opinion. It was like
Mhm.
a chirping sound. Um, but yeah, that's like my first experience I had out there. I've had some more intense ones, but that was kind of like the beginning.
Now, when you say intense, what's your version of what it means to be, dealing with an intense, visit or an intense moment?
um, so I haven't had this direct like face to face visual, right?
Mhm.
But what I have had is, in my opinion, I don't know what you want to call it, a close encounter with Bigfoot.
Okay.
Um, so I'll kind of go into, I guess the main one that I've had, like the one that have impacted me the most, that kind of drove me to put this app together and everything else.
Mhm.
Um, I was, this was the third time I went out, and I was kind of under the intent this time that I was going to kind of go off by myself a little bit and stay the night in the woods by myself and see if I could get some more interaction in that way, just being alone, which is a little bit intimidating in itself because this is like bear country, mountain lion country. It's middle of nowhere.
Right.
So I do have a wife and 3 kids, and they don't want me to die. But um, so I had that intent the entire time, and I had other experiences before I did that, but I was gonna go out this one night, and then it started raining, and I wouldn't get all wet. So I just decided, he has a trailer right, I don't know, 20, 30 feet from the campfire, but most of the time his trailer is really just a shell, right? It's to protect you from the bears and everything else. Like he did used to sleep out, in just tents and things, but people again, they want to feel comfortable at night, so he kind of has trailers out there now. But I was like, oh, well, I'm most of the time people don't sleep outside because it is you know, a little spooky, to be fair.
Sure. Sure.
So I slept outside by the fire. So I decided I was going to do that. It was probably 1 o'clock in the AM, mountain time, and I was just laying there. Had another guy, another expeditioner that was out. His name was Dan. That he was kind of out by the fire, and he liked to like whittle with a knife. And he asked me if he could sit out there for a bit, and I said I didn't care. I was just seeing what would happen. And so I woke up around. I grabbed my phone. It's probably about 3:30. Nothing had happened. And I looked up, and Dan had actually passed out in his chair outside, not even knowing it, like head back. And I just kind of
Right.
laughed. I guess kind of laughed and said, "Okay, he didn't even know he's out here." And I kind of tried to go back to sleep. And then I woke up around 4:30 of Dan getting up. And he threw another log on the fire for me. He said, "Yeah, I'm going in." He didn't tell me why he went in, so I'll tell you that why he went in. He told me later. He said he was hearing a bunch of stuff behind his head, and it scared him, and he went inside, but he didn't, you know, caution to tell me that. So,
And
so that was
this is why I'm an avid indoorsman. These things rarely happen in the confines of my living room.
right, right.
Yeah.
So that's good to know after the fact. But I was like, okay, good night, and at this time of year when I was out there, there's very little darkness. Like it gets really dark around midnight, but the sun comes up around 5. So there's only 5 hours of darkness. I'm not used to that. I'm Central Time. I'm used to like a good 7, 8 hours of darkness all the time, right? So I didn't even know that the sun came up that early because I'm not used to get up at 5 o'clock out there. So it's about 5 a.m. and I only know that because I looked a little bit post that. So I'll just preface it with that. And I kind of have my eyes squinted a bit, and I'm looking up, and I see the little bit of the blue from the sun coming up in the sky, and I hear a couple of birds starting to chirp. So I'm thinking it's like 6:30 or 6:45 because I don't know the sun from where I'm at, and I was kind of like almost like a sigh of relief because I was like, well, I guess nothing's gonna happen. I can kind of sleep easy now and get some rest. So I'm at an angle, like how a fire is kind of more in a pit, and there's like a
Right.
circle around it, and it kind of naturally makes a grade around it. So
Right.
I'm kind of at an angle, and I'm laid on my side towards the fire in my sleeping bag. And what I did was I was like, okay, nothing's gonna happen, and I roll over onto my back, still kind of at an angle, but I'm on my back now. And as I roll over, I just hear 2 feet jump backwards, like like that. Like I could hear them land on the ground. Like it didn't know I was gonna move, so it hopped back a few feet, like it was sitting there hovering over me, right? So my heart's beating super fast. I'm trying to calm my heart rate down, right? And I'm
Right.
also at an angle to where I can't really look at, you know, in my opinion, this Bigfoot because I'd have to turn my entire body to look that direction, and I didn't want to do that yet. So I'm trying to figure out in my head, what should I do here? Trying to get my heart rate to stop.
So,
I'm
Logan,
like,
you're out there investigating claims of Bigfoot. One might be standing right next to you, and you don't really want to turn around and look at it.
well, until you're face to face with it, it's hard to explain. Like
Sure.
the adrenaline is, people can say whatever they want to say. Well, I would have done it easily, but unless you're out there, you don't really know.
Oh, no, no. I
And
think I'd have
so
just rolled into the fire, hoping that I would burst into flames and scare it off.
So so I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make sure I'm not crazy. I did hear something jump back 2 feet. I did hear 2 foot falls, like land. So I'm sitting there listening. I get my breathing down, my heart rate's down, and I just hear it like just gradually walking around my head, right? Like very slowly, like just footfalls, like so light. And the area right there is like, it's the Rocky Mountains, so it's kind of like this weird grassy dirt, but it's not really a substrate that would give prints, right?
Right.
So I'm just listening to this thing walk around me, and my heart rate's going back up. I don't know if I'm like, all right, I've got to get the courage to like just go over and look at this thing. Like this is why I'm here. I got to stop being a wuss. So I'm like in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna give it like 2 more minutes, and I'm gonna try to look. And so I build up the courage, and I kind of
Right.
just kind of fake this motion of like, hey, I'm gonna roll to the right and then roll to the left, just to give it some kind of aspect that I'm moving.
Hmm.
Um, but as I roll to the right and then kind of look over my shoulder, it's gone. Like it's out of there. But for a good, I'd say about 5 to 7 minutes, this, in my opinion, this Bigfoot was walking around me. I had scared it. It jumped backwards. So if I had had some kind of recording device around the base camp, like in my opinion, I would have captured this Bigfoot just sitting there watching me sleep.
Hmm.
So that's kind of, it sticks in your head. Like, I think about it all the time, like that experience. And I'm just like, man, that was intense. So that's like the most intense experience I've had out there.
Well, sure. I mean, it's the middle of the woods. You're wrapped up like a tamale on the ground near a fire warming up. I'm sure he's just thinking this is like his version of our late night snacks at 7-Eleven, grabbing a breakfast burrito, and then you go and move on him and freak him out.
Right.
Have you actually ever had a sighting?
No visuals, no direct visuals. It's all trace evidence. It sounds, in my opinion, I think me and the guys I was at with that expedition, I think, and again, it's a little bit conjecture because I can't prove it. I do
Right.
have some video, because I was wearing like a self-made body cam at the time. But we were chasing these Bigfoot tree knocks all the way to a tree that was probably about 100 feet tall. And in my opinion, and Todd's opinion, and the other guys I was with, like, we think we kind of Todd would verb it as treeing a Bigfoot. I don't know if that's an
Okay.
accurate. I think maybe it led us there, just messing with us. Um, but like we followed this, like we made knocks, we followed these sounds, and this tree was knocking back at us like for 30 minutes, and it would be it's not like a natural tree creak. Like I've got some video of it. It's like knock knock, like it sounds like someone's up top 60 feet up in this tree, like hitting it with a hammer, right? So it was very weird. And there again, there's trace evidence around this tree. There's 15-inch tracks around it. There's scat from deer. There's scat from bears. There's old tree breaks around the part of this forest. We were in this what we call it old growth forest because it hasn't ever been logged before. So there's just a lot of trace evidence around it. There's a lot of evidence around it. It was an interesting experience to say the least. But yeah, I'd say that was another big one for me. And then just I mean, I can go into a few more for you, but it's like I said, they're sporadic. They're honestly, there's a lot of weird instances. And then there's been some stuff that's happened since I put the cameras up. That's happened. But yeah,
Like
and
what?
so I put a camera about 15 feet up this tree, and I have another one on top, pretty much on the top of the side of this trailer, kind of. So I call them south and north, right? So this was like end of May when I was doing like testing and doing things. I went out there just to basically do all the infrastructure for this camera system and run all the cables, bury the cables, run Ethernet, get everything connected, do all the bit rate for the cameras, and try to
Mhm.
make sure everything's sound. And so at night, after I had left, and the Todd had gone back a couple days later because we were still getting battery systems in place. So I'd run these cables up to the side of this camera system, and it's almost like it's coming out of the ground up the side, and I put these clips up the side so it would keep it flush on the side of the RV. So there was probably about 6 different clips going up with this Cat 6 cable that's like rated for outdoors into this camera system. And at about 3 o'clock at night, Todd and the expeditioner out there felt something like jostling the trailer back and forth, right? So and then they were talking to each other in the trailer, like, "Is that you?" Because if you move in a trailer, you can feel movement from other people sometimes. And they're
Right.
like, "No." So they're awake. They're like feeling this, and when they go outside, like something had basically taken that Cat 6 cable and all the way ripped it out off the side of that. So it takes force to get all these nails out the side, like just boom, right? And I know, in my opinion, it wouldn't have been anyone out there because there would be no reason for them to do that. So, and I don't think even like a bear or something, which I highly doubt there was a bear out there. I don't think it would have the notion just to rip that cable out, right? So, in my opinion, it's very strange having the trailer sway like that and then have something rip that cable out. Um,
And you're not hearing any kind of hoots or hollers, growls or snorts?
Um, I'm not sure on that because I wasn't out there.
Mhm.
They did hear. like there's always sounds out there. Like there's how like I've
Right, but
heard,
during that moment, there was
but
nothing
during
that
that
they could
I
relate
don't
to it.
think, from what Todd told me, I don't think so.
And what
Um,
about the cameras? Did they capture anything?
they weren't on because the battery system wasn't in.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
Because we'd discharge it just to test it, and then we'd cut it off because we didn't. We were trying to invest in some like real off the grid battery systems that would keep it going for 24/7. So it was really more of in testing phases. But I have captured. So it's been a journey trying to get the power system out there, like stable and reliable. So I have captured so far, because really the system's only been like truly live for maybe a week at the most.
Okay.
So I did capture some like real weird knocks last night. Todd sent me some texts and said, they're around, and I did capture some knocks in the middle of the night. I mean, there's even UFO stuff that goes on out there. I don't want to go into that particular, but I will say it is strange. The people, not this expedition, because Todd's out there right now, but the one before that, they were sitting outside, and this rectangular craft comes over and starts scanning the ground, right? And
Ooh.
of course, I get like a glimpse of it on my system, right? And then both my feeds go dead for 3 minutes, and then they come back up. And I'm just like, yeah, of course, that would
Yeah.
be it. All right. But they have no reason to do that. So I don't, you can say what you want to say about that. I can just say what they told me happened, and they all, the expeditioners out there saw it, so they wouldn't really have a reason to say that was made up, because they're out there for Bigfoot, not UFOs.
Right.
So it's interesting. There's just a whole lot of stuff that happens out there. So I think Todd's been out in that area for about, mm, I'd say close to 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's, in my opinion, it's a good spot to start at, and I think it will help bring traction. It will, if we can get audio, video evidence,
Well, let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll talk about discovering Bigfoot, the application, what they can
Mhm.
do. I will put links, and they're on tonight's live program, and they're going to be on the audio program guide, so you can find links on how you can go download the Discovering Bigfoot app. And we've got all of that information and more coming up. I do want to mention, for those of you that are Bigfoot aficionados, you can go over to the Paranormal 60 swag shop and check out all of our cool Bigfoot shirts and cryptid shirts and items that we have, everything from coffee mugs to t-shirts, hoodies, wallets, and more. Go on over to paranormal60.com or paranormal60swagshop.com, and you'll find all that information and more. We'll be back. We've got more to discuss with our guest, Logan Cheso, when we return to the Paranormal 60. Oh, my little darklings. Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness is out, and it's available right now. And I would love for you to pick up a copy of my brand new book. You can get it on Amazon wherever you live in this great, big, wonderful world of ours. Or if you'd like to get an autographed copy and you live here in the United States, go to paranormal60.com. We have the standard copy, non-autographed, just $20. Signed copy, only $30. And not only do we have this book, but we have my other book, The Other Side. And right now I'm running a special. If you pick up both books, you can get both books for $40, both signed. Both will be shipped in one package for one price. So go check out all the information at paranormal60.com. The Other Side, a teen's guide to ghost hunting and the paranormal, which is a guide on ghost hunting and the paranormal. Or you can get Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness, real life encounters with the supernatural. And not only are they some of my all-time favorite stories from you, but there's a few of my favorite stories that have happened to me in the book as well. So go check it out, paranormal60.com, to order your copies, or you can buy copies wherever you are in the world that are unsigned at amazon.com. And I'll ask you this. Many of you have supported me in buying this book already. If you could just take 30 seconds to rate and review this book on Goodreads or on Amazon.com, I would greatly appreciate it, because the more we get of good ratings and reviews, the more they expose this book to a wider, bigger audience. So I would appreciate that as a personal favor to me, your pal, Dave Schrader. Hey kids, it's not too late. I'm going to be in Gettysburg all weekend. This weekend, July 26th through the 28th, Christmas in July returns to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. We're going to have a great time, and I hope that you'll make it out there to come see me and spend some time investigating claims of the paranormal. Some amazing speakers that'll be on hand. The legendary godfather of the paranormal, John Zaffis, will be there. I'll be there with Shane Pittman from the Holzer Files, and Aaron Sagers is on hand as well. So many other amazing guests, and it's like $25. You can get tickets at the door at the Eisenhower Hotel, 2634 Emmetsburg Road in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Again, that's at the Eisenhower Hotel this weekend, July 26th through the 28th. Let's wrap out the month having a blast together, and at one of the best paranormal parties you'll ever visit. Go check it out right now, and you can get more information at darknessevents.com. Logan Cheso, our guest, as we're talking about Bigfoot. And now you've got something pretty exciting. This is a new project you put together, and I'm going to just throw up the little picture of it here. It is available on Android and for Apple phones as well. Talk to us about discovering Bigfoot.
So yeah, it was kind of post that big experience I had out there by base camp. I know everyone is kind of like hit and miss on, how come you don't put cameras up, or well, they don't like cameras, right? So it's like this great divide of like, well, if you put cameras up, they won't come around, right? So to me, it's like, okay, well, they're definitely coming around. They've been coming around for 15 years. If they didn't want to come around, they wouldn't. So I talked to Todd about it, and he's like, yeah, we should really put cameras up. So I was like, okay, well, I don't mind investing in doing that, because I'm all about the discovery. But let me
Right.
think about like a good way, if we did put cameras up, that everyone could see these cameras and get in and like be kind of a part of the discovery, in my opinion.
Sure.
So it kind of just grew, expanded from there around November last year. And then I've been basically writing code and developing the back end architecture and the front end user interface and everything else for the last 6 months. So it's been like a labor of love for me. But I mean, really, that is the notion of how do we collaborate? How do we get people that can't go out in the woods engaged? Like we need more eyes on things, and we need people to honestly just be more interested. So
So what does this do? What does it give people access to?
so if you subscribe, you get access to two feeds. I call them north and south feed. One's on the north side of base camp. One's more pointed towards the direct area where people sit around the fire. So you get these two live feeds. If you're, it's basically 24/7. I mean, I can't guarantee anything world, what goes up must come down. So I can't guarantee that there won't be some kind of weird blip, or um, the system out there runs on Starlink. So if Starlink has some weird outage, I can't guarantee that it's perfection, but
Right.
I
But it's
have
the first door. It's opening that
it,
door to
right.
people being able to actively watch and participate in Bigfoot research.
Right. So it's a glimpse into the research area. Like there's expeditions out there every other week until the end of October, so you can see what the expeditioners are doing. If there is activity going on, I'm building some functionality around, it's gonna it's gonna alert all the people that are subscribed, like, hey, we're having activity right now, right? It'll probably start with an email, then it'll end up being like an in-app notification. So it's really about getting this app out there to begin with, and then I think as far as what it's built, it's a great tool. So if you're watching the feed, you can hit a button and then submit a report. It goes to a real-time database. We'll be reviewing it. Like if you actually do hear Bigfoot, like if Dave sees a Bigfoot on this camera, we'll call it the Dave Schrader footage, right? Right. If
I like
anyone
the sound of
wants,
that.
right. So I mean, the Patterson Gimlin film, whoever. Again, it's about like collaboration. It's about people putting eyes on cameras. I do have the capability because I built all this. My background is I'm an engineer. I'm a software reliability engineer. So I'm trying to mix my passion for technology with my passion for Bigfoot. So I did build the entire thing. So I did spill. I spent a good amount of time, money, and energy into this, just because I believe I believe in the product, and I believe in like the discovery of Bigfoot. So you get these two live feeds, you can report on it, and then also when people do report, I built into the app like its own. I call it its own mini YouTube interface where people can go look at the reportings that people have put in. And again, it's going to be user based. So the more people that say, "Hey, I think there's something between this hour of the day," we review it and upload it, the more videos there's going to be. Of course, if we have interactions and we hear things, we're going to upload things on our own. But the more people watching, the more videos there's going to be. You have the ability to comment on things. Um, I'm going to build more functionality. I have very, I guess, advanced ideas on as far as technology, and I have other ideas as far as so these cameras are day and night vision, right?
Right.
They're they're right now they're only running 1080p because of the bandwidth. They do have the capability of running 4K. So these are not cheap. They're pan, tilt, zoom cameras. I can spin them 360, zoom in. Like we can do whatever we want with these things. But as far as like functional minimum viable product to begin with, we're starting with two. 1080p is the resolution, and if we can get more people on board, I can scale this thing up to 4K. It'll be a better picture. I can add more cameras. The plan is to.
Well, 1080p is nothing to sneeze at when you consider most footage is blurry, janky looking footage anyway. If you've got 1080p is a pretty big step up from what we're used to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the best of the best so people
Oh, of
don't
course.
complain about it.
Sure.
So
I got news for you, Logan. They're going to complain no matter what. If you put a 4K up there and Bigfoot gets up and looks in the camera and licks it, they're going to tell you that it's one of you guys in a costume. There are the believers who will believe, and those that are on the fence post may be willing to lean over. And like I said, you could have that Sasquatch show up on their front door delivering, beef sticks, and they still wouldn't believe it. It's funny how this whole thing works.
yeah, I mean, I agree. It is what it is. But that's the good thing about this system, right? If
Right.
everyone complains about, well, what happened before? What happened after? This is a 3-second clip. Well, where's the lead up to? Where's the post? I'll have all of that, right? Like here's the
Right.
hour before, here's the hour after. If anyone, again, it's in the app itself, but contact at bigfootlivestream.org. If anyone sees something on the app, um, and wants like a full hour's worth of video, I literally built this so where I can hard code a link to you. You can go watch it yourself if you want to
Wow,
go
that's great.
investigate yourself. You just send me, say, hey, I want to watch the full thing for the whole day, right? I'll send you the links to it. Go nuts, find something.
That's great.
um, so I think that aspect of things. I think there's a lot of people that are into Bigfoot. I think there's a lot of people that want to do the research. I think not everybody can get out there and do it, right?
Mhm.
It's time, it's money, it's energy, there's a lot to it, but there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of Bigfooters out there. So I think this is a start. I'm planning on getting thermal cameras out there 24/7 as well. It is again a cost to me. All this is we're kind of eating all this, right? So it's a proof of concept for the time, but we're going to keep it going. So the back end infrastructure, basically I'm saving 6 months worth of video. So I think it's about 4 terabytes a month of data. And this video is audio and video. So it's about 4 terabytes a month that we're saving on the back end before we like kind of cold archive it. And then So again, like we'll have all this to reflect on, and my thought is to the more people that are trying to dig through some of the analysis, the better.
Right.
I also have some other functionality that's more advanced as far as video processing and um, some kind of recognition software that I can pump it into to actually search for sounds, faces, and kind of give it a context and kind of do. I know AI is the buzzword, but it's more of like deep learning than anything
Sure.
on the video feed. So I'm trying to like be as technological as possible and use what's out there because
Mhm.
um, I think there's a lot of good researchers out there, and they're going out there and they're using body cams and cameras, and those only last for so long, right? So you can only do so much, and you're not really using all of the spectrum of what's capable, right? So
Right.
I'm trying to get to that where we can actually analyze all the data. Like I said, all of the reportings go to a backend database. Everything is captured in that backend database. All of the expedition reports are on the app as well. Right now, they're very brief. I'm going to make them like more.
Sure. Well, this is
Uh,
exciting because this is gonna
yeah.
give people, that maybe are recluses like me that don't like the outdoors, where you can get eaten by bugs, snakes, and bears. This gives you an opportunity to be a part of it. Now, how far of a spectrum does your camera have from its fixed settings?
I mean, we can turn it and zoom. Right now, the one like me and Todd literally climbed this tree to mount this camera way up in the air, right? So right now it's probably got I'd say 50 yards out on the
Oh, that's
north
good.
camera.
That
It's
sure.
probably 50 yards out, but again, we can spin it right and left. But if we spin it all the way around, you're just gonna see a bunch of trees in your face, right? So it's got like I'd say like 100-degree turn there where you can turn it and look around.
Sure.
I can't give people that functionality because if I do, everyone wants to do it, and that won't
Yeah. That
that'll
camera's
be
just gonna be spinning like
right.
Reagan's head in The Exorcist.
Right. So that
Yeah.
functionality just kind of has to live with live with us. But if someone says, "Hey, will you spin it to the left?" I'm be like, "Okay, I'll spin it to the left." Right. So
Right.
it's about the discovery to me. So it has that capability. If we need to zoom in, like dead set, it goes like 125. Sorry, no, 150 foot zoom capability.
Wow.
So, I mean, I tried to invest in the best cameras that we could as far as that will be good out in nature and
Now,
have the
what do
right
you think? One
protocols.
thing that's always made me curious is a lot of animals can see through many different light spectrums, right?
Hmm.
That's the theory. If we're basking an area in IR light so that the camera can see, isn't that kind of like, hey, if I'm going to sneak into somebody's backyard, if they've got their porch light on, I'm going to stick to the outer edge, where I can't necessarily be seen. I'm going to stay just outside of that fire glow view
Hmm.
and keeps stable. Don't you think there's maybe that's part of the reason why all these trail cams are not as successful in seeing this because A, it's doing that, and B, if you're using something like Starlink, if these animals are familiar, these beings are familiar with infrasound and radio frequency, do you think there's any chance that that could be something that pushes them away or keeps them at bay?
I mean, anything's possible. I just don't think we know enough, right?
Right.
It's all just opinions at this point, and people can say that they know it all, but they don't. So, to
Oh,
me,
yeah, and I don't know anything. That's why I'm asking. I'm just trying to
so
figure out, yeah.
so these cameras, they do have like four. They're like red lights on the bottom at night, right? So they're
Mhm.
visible. Um, Todd, how do I say this? Todd says from his perspective, intent is everything, right?
Right.
So if you're putting out with the intent of, hey, not trying to make you mad, we've been here for 15 years. Hey, if you want to come in front of the camera, come in front of the camera. If you don't, you don't, right? I don't have it set up to where they can't elude the camera system, right? They could if they
Mhm.
wanted to.
Sure.
So like we could set it up to where it's all the way around base camp where they can't even come in. That wasn't really what we were trying to do. We're trying to be just, if they want to come in, they come in. we're not trying to hide them. I'm not trying to hide them in a log and be like, hey, I tricked you. It's like the camera's, it's about this big. It's a foot long, right? And
Sure.
it's white. I'm not trying to hide it. It's on both sides of the camp. So really our intent is to say, if they're going to come around camp, let's try this, right? If we don't get any footage, at least, hey, we tried it. It's
Yeah.
been there, it's tried
Yeah,
and
and I'm not trying
true.
to understand. I'm not trying to discount the concept of it all. I'd love for this
Mhm.
to work. It's and you're right. A lot of it's just conjecture and theory, but thinking these creatures are very good at being elusive. These creatures are
Mhm.
very good at keeping themselves away so that they're not being captured. Um, what do you think, Logan, will happen if the Logan cam captures irrefutable proof of a Bigfoot? How quickly will science or the government descend on that area and cordon it off and make it a research area for them that we're no longer allowed to see?
I don't know. I
Or
haven't
do you think once the
we're
cat's out of the bag, they're not going to have that ability?
well, um, I'll have all the footage, but I can't think that far into the future. To be fair, like I don't know what's going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of people if we do capture something that's pretty amazing that are just going to say it's fake, right? And if I don't know. I think at this point, if the government doesn't know about Bigfoot, they should already. Just my
Right.
perspective.
Right.
I don't know that they're going to care because Todd's been operating doing this stuff for like 20 years, right? If they cared enough, they'd just shut him down right now, right? So to me, it's um, I don't know. You never know what's going to happen, but like
Well, I'd
I'd
like
love.
to hear from you, the listeners. If you're watching the YouTube video after the live airing, put it in the notes. Remember, always be respectful, but put it in the notes. Tell me what you think. What do you think would happen if we were able to capture really solid evidence? What do you think will happen? Do you think that this will be the opening to a new dynamic of us being able to communicate with these creatures? Or do you think the government or local law enforcement will take over from that point? Share those ideas with us in the comments below. And also remember to hit that subscribe button so you can continue to get all the great paranormal programming and conversations that we have here. When you click the bell, make sure you click it so it alerts you to all the new projects and all the new product that we put out here. Now the application, I'm sorry, the word froze in my brain there for a second. The application Discovering Bigfoot is out and available now for iOS and Android, and people can go download it and begin this journey right now during the show, couldn't they?
Yep. Again,
All right, very
it
cool.
is. It's out and ready.
And is there with the streaming capabilities of what they're able to do and watch on this, what is the turnaround if I'm watching and at 3:45 in the morning something sticks its head out and looks at me? Is there a way to alert you immediately so that you're getting notified that something's happening?
Yeah. If they're watching it like if they're like full screen, like you can get out of full screen mode and there's just a big red button that says report sighting on it. It leads you to another page and you just put what you saw. And then it really helps if you put, what hour range you saw it
Right,
in, right?
right,
The day and the hour, it's kind of in the metadata on the actual form itself to put it in there. But you just hit submit, it goes to a real-time database. It alerts us, if it's 3 in the morning, I might be asleep, but I if anyone does submit reports, like we're going to make an effort to review it and get back to whoever submits it, right? So that's why when you get into the app, you have to sign up like with a valid email. Like it's about
right.
like not this anonymous like hey, I just saw a Bigfoot in the woods and
Mhm.
this garbage reports that are going nowhere. Like you have to use a valid email. Like I don't ask for your name or your cell phone number or anything, like just an email, and that's going to be how we contact you. That's how you interact on the
Fantastic.
video stuff. So if you put some buffoonery in like the comments in the videos, people will see your email address and be able to
Right.
hound you. It's really
Now,
for
is there
people that are
audio?
serious.
Will
Yeah,
they
there's
be able to
audio.
hear? Okay, so they'll hear audio and have video opportunity. So during the investigations, when Todd is there with his research group, are they going to be able to hear the discussions that are going on with Todd?
They will.
Okay,
I might. It just depends on Todd if he wants to, like, since that's why there's two feeds. If he wants to just turn just the video on, if he's like,
sure.
just trying to have private conversations with people, like we have the ability just to turn the sound off just
Good.
for a few hours
Yeah.
at night if we want to. So there might be instances of that just on one camera where the sound's off, but honestly, you can kind of hear what they're saying from the other camera anyway.
Right.
I'm always going to have at least one sound feed going, and
Cool.
so that's the thought. Um, and really, I want to collaborate with people. So if I can really get this going, like this is something that's, I don't want to use the word franchisable, but like other research areas, like I can input this system into your research area. We can put it into the app. Like we can have a feed of like 50 different cameras going. So you could, if we can grow the network and grow the areas, like we can have, Bigfoot live feeds all over the US to where you can
That'd be
just go to
great.
whatever camera you want to, whatever
Mhm.
Texas, Montana, whatever,
Minnesota,
California,
sure. Yeah,
right? So I mean, it's about, just the cost of the system out there, like the
sure.
initial upfront cost, and then boom, right? You have that. So I
Exciting.
and I'm trying to make it we're trying to make it affordable because I mean there's a lot of cost to us. So there is a price for the subscription, but I tried to price it as what I went to a local restaurant and just got a hamburger, and that's what I price it as, just a hamburger, right? So I
Okay.
try to make it, economical for people, but at the same time,
Fantastic.
honestly,
No, that's
I mean,
great. Making it accessible and affordable. There will be, but you're sinking some blood, sweat, and tears into this too, so that you've got a reason to keep up with it. Logan Cheso, Discovering Bigfoot is the app. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us your insights and sharing the information about the app. Keep in touch with us as you continue to see these things and get some cool footage. We'd love to have you come back and share with us.
for sure, would love to come back on.
Great. And is there a website or anything else they should know about aside from the
Um,
links we have to the shops?
if you log into the app, there's like a Facebook page and an Instagram page for the actual app itself.
Great.
I think Todd has his website, discoveringbigfoot.org. But yeah, I tried to make it really app focused and not website focused. To be
Sure.
fair, I think everyone just likes the convenience of the app and just go
Agreed.
from
Yeah.
there.
Well, thank you, Logan. Wish you all the success in the world with this. And again, folks, there are links in today's program guide so you can directly find it. Otherwise, just go to your app store and look up Discovering Bigfoot. Amazing stuff. When you look at where we are in this part of our world and our discoveries, how we're getting closer to that edge of uncovering the real mystery behind these sightings. I'm so excited and I'm hoping to be a part of this as well. I know I'm going to go subscribe and start keeping an eye on it when I can. Maybe those long, lonely nights in my hotel room when I'm on the road traveling, I can spend a little time watching this instead of doom scrolling through social media. But it's going to be exciting. And I hope that you'll consider taking a look at this as well. And for those of you that maybe are not as ambulatory, but still want to be part of the investigative world, this would be a great start for you. And I've been working with other haunted locations trying to get them to do similar situations like this so that we can subscribe for $5 a month and have that feed that we can watch and keep notes and denote when we hear or see things that might be able to keep eyes on these places 24/7 so that as a community we can create a better look and a better background of evidence to examine. I hope that the darkness of this world just a little bit more light with the information and the guests that we have show up on this program and give you a new insight and perspective to the discoveries that we're all fascinated with. And I encourage you, don't just be a passive listener or viewer. Get out there, involve yourself doing it like this with Discovering Bigfoot app or other places that allow you to zoom in and be a part of the investigation with them. If you can't get out and do it physically, be there watching through the cameras, be that extra set of eyes that can help us in the field. and I hope you'll consider that as well. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey, and I pray that our paths will cross soon and that it will be safe, fun, and a great time. Remember, come see me this weekend in Gettysburg at the Eisenhower Hotel. It's going to be an amazing event, only $25, and all of the proceeds they collect are going to go to help wounded warriors and children that are dealing with very deadly diseases and issues. So that money goes a long way, and you get a weekend of fun and enjoyment with some of your favorite paranormal personalities. I'll be back again Monday. Time slip phenomena. We're going to talk about time and space slips. We'll do that right here on your home for the best in paranormal programming. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is my Paranormal 60.